Netflix is investing hugely in K-dramas, and the GyeongSeong Creature is one of the results of this investment. It tells a mismatch of stories: love, betrayal, romance, and horror, staged around the 1940s. It features some very popular faces from the K-drama industry. We'll be sharing some behind-the-scenes secrets from the set of the series. Stay tuned to enjoy them. Number 15. The Creature was an afterthought. It's kind of ironic that a very important element in the plot of this TV show was an afterthought. The director, Chung Dong-yoon, told this to Newsweek when the team went behind the scenes for an interview. It had already been decided that the story was going to be about the GyeongSeong period. This was a particularly turbulent time for the Koreans. As their country was occupied by Imperial Japan, the story tells pretty much that story and more. Most Koreans could relate to that period. The issue, however, was for non-Koreans. They never really knew that period, so there's no emotional attachment to the movie. The introduction of the creature was a way to make it more appealing to non-Koreans, so that they could relate with the movie. And we can boldly say that the concept worked for them. The series is followed by people from all over the world who have created an emotional connection via the concept of the creature. Number 14. COVID-19 and accidents took a toll on production. Wee Ha-joon, the 33-year-old actor who plays the role of Chung Dong-yoon, an independence activist in the series, was reported to have been down with COVID. He had to self-quarantine for a while, leading to a pause in production until he was able to come back to set. Lead actress Han So Hee also tested positive for COVID-19 in 2023 during the filming of the second season. She self-quarantined until she got better. Now she's back to filming. She plays the role of Chae-ok, an expert tracker and a specialist at finding missing people. She also suffered from a minor head injury on set while they were filming an action scene. She was rushed to the hospital because the injury was close to the eye. It wasn't serious though. She was back on set in about a week. The scene could have been performed by the stunt doubles, but she insisted. We admire what she did, however, safety comes first. It was a scary few hours for her fans and agents alike. Imagine their relief when she was certified unharmed. Number 13. Unit 731 is real. Remember Unit 731 from the series, the secret lab responsible for the making of the creature? Well, it's real. Unit 731 was a secret Japanese research center that specialized in gruesome human research. Also called Manchu Detachment 731, it was a biological and chemical development and research center located in Manchukuo, now northeast China. These labs specialized in making biological and chemical weapons of war, and they experimented on over 3,000 people in their labs and another 300,000 from biological warfare. The majority of the lab victims were Chinese, but there were other nationalities too. Some were prisoners of war, and others were kidnapped. Men, women, and children, young and old too, were used for these experiments. Of course, no beasts were created in that laboratory. The series is made up of an intersection of real and fictional stories. The real-life stories give a base to the fictional stories, and that's what Unit 731 is. The series couldn't even begin to scratch the surface of what happened in 731, or its many other branches. 12. Han So Hee's style was inspired by a Time magazine cover. Does the name Grace Kelly ring a bell in your ears? Not to worry if it doesn't. You probably were not born when she was popular. Grace Kelly, also known as the Girl in White Gloves, was a particularly beautiful lady who graced the cover of Time magazine in the mid-1950s. The directors of the movie stated that they based Han So Hee's style on Grace Kelly. We had to show a completely different Chae-ok from the modern days. From what I recall, we paid a lot of extra attention to Grace Kelly style. Chae-ok, the character played by Han So Hee, is always dressed in very simple clothing, almost raggedy looking. She played a nurse, so it wasn't unusual for her in that role. But when she had to disguise, well, they had to make her look as elegant as possible, even if just for one scene in the movie. We love the look, and the fact that it reminded us of the fashion icon from the 50s won bonus points. The wavy hairstyle, the gown cut, and the pristine white gloves all were reminiscent of Grace Kelly's style. Unfortunately, Chae-ok gets to look that good just once. 11. Just 3 cloth changes for So Hee's character. Everyone noticed the elegant blue formal dress So Hee wore in the series. Did you also notice that the beautiful gown was just one of the 3 clothes her character Chae-ok wore in the series? So she had 2 rag-like clothes and a beautiful Grace Kelly-inspired cloth. This was in the series though. She had 5 clothes for the role, 2 look-alike for the ragged costumes. The look-alikes were to speed up productions for when one was to be out of use, due to laundry and perhaps mending. 10. Picture addict. So Hee loves pictures, and everyone on set quickly found out about it. She'd take pictures with children, set managers, co-actors, and everyone on the project who was willing to be in her pictures. Even when she's sitting waiting for her scenes, while she's lying, and even when doing her stunts. Her socials were littered with pictures from the set of the series. It wouldn't be far-fetched to think that she had someone dedicated to taking pictures for her. Perhaps an assistant. Her fans loved it though. They interacted with these pictures on social media. 9. It all began with Parasites. Back to the creatures, the director Jung Dong-yoon brought about the idea of the creature, and then the writer had to incorporate it into the series. So how did the writer develop the character of the creature? Let's hear from Kang, the writer of the series. Conceptualizing the creature began with the idea of a mouse striking out against a cat. A parasite in a prey's head, making it fearless against its predator, was an interesting concept to me. Working with the idea of a parasite, I freely imagined how powerful that parasite could be and all the possibilities that could happen. So now we know how the creature was developed. 8. The hair flick that caused a neck cramp. Shooting movies can take a toll on the actors both physically and emotionally. It's not unusual for actors to get depressed after playing depressing or emotionally tasking roles. It's also not unusual for co-stars to fall in love in real life, especially after they have played romantic scenes on set. No one is falling in love with anyone as far as we can tell. However, someone did have physical repercussions from reenacting a scene so many times. So remember the scene where Jang Tae-song, Park So-joon, and Yoon Chae-ok, Han So Hee fight? Well, that particular scene took 3 days to shoot. You heard that right. This was as revealed by the director. There's a fight scene where Chae-ok's cap falls off. After getting a hit from Tae and her hair flicks, well, that flick didn't look good on the camera. Or better still, it could have looked better. The cast and crew stood by the monitor and watched her flip her hair several times. 20 more times precisely before they were satisfied. In the end, Sun Hee developed a neck cramp. She was fine though after a few days. It wasn't too high a price to pay for perfect images. 7. Some of the characters took an active role in creating their costumes. Tae-song, the wealthy pawn shop owner, was supposed to look the part. This was the 1940s. How did a wealthy shop owner look around that period? Well, Park So-joon, who plays Tae-song, and the director put heads together to come up with costumes befitting of that time and character. So he also played a role in the selection of costumes for her character, though that didn't need as much attention as the one for Park. 3 costumes were enough for her character. The beautiful formal dress got a lot of attention though. 6. The director couldn't watch the torture scenes. For some reason, the director decided to shoot the torture scenes first, and then other difficult scenes. Perhaps it was just to get it out of the way. It, however, didn't ease the discomfort he felt. Other cast members also shared their discomfort. Pak. So-joon's first scene was the torture scene. He found it extremely difficult, and at some point wondered if he wasn't being tortured for real. It was extremely cold too, and I was getting splashed with water. I got drenched and almost felt like, hey, am I being tortured? Is this the way you're welcoming me on set? The actor struggled at first, but then grew to anticipate future scenes. If this is the beginning, he said to himself, what is it gonna be when we get to the end? This initial experience helped him get into character quickly, but Jun Seo was himself doubtful, asking if he had come to the right set. Han. So he also shared the same sentiments. However, they were willing to do whatever it took. 5. They had to learn a second language. The actors who played the Japanese characters all had to speak Japanese. This was per historical facts. The Imperial Japanese officers, officials, and their family members from that period all spoke Japanese while in Korea. To portray this to full effect, the actors had to speak Japanese for that role. They all ended up taking classes. One person stood out though, Claudia Kim. She learned an old style of Japanese which possibly no one speaks anymore. This was the Japanese of the Kyoto era. She, however, played the role to the T, such that most couldn't tell she had just learned the Japanese language. At least a version of it. 4. An animated spin-off is in the works. A webtoon series, a spin-off of the original show, has started, and it is starring some of your faves in the series, reprising their characters. This story is different, however, it is called GyeongSeong Creature, Unwithering Flower. Here, another creature is introduced to us. It was born as a result of experiments on humans, but instead of a destructive and fearsome creature, what we have is an intelligent and very powerful creature. This story focuses on new characters, but we still get to see an interaction between the characters from the TV show and new characters from the webtoon. 3. The picture that caused controversies. Han So Hee posted a picture of a Korean independence activist Unveil, and this caused a lot of uproar on social media. The Japanese said she was anti-Japanese because of her comment, while the Koreans supported her. Unveil assassinated the first Japanese prime minister because of the occupation in Korea. So he posting the activist picture was in a way reminding everyone of history and the part both countries played in it too. The actors had to imagine the creature, get prepared for effects, and CGI that would wow you. This is talking about the creature. It looks great and very realistic. Did you know that the actors had to imagine a fearsome creature while they acted? Of course, they were shown what it would look like, but that was as much as could be done. The creature we see in the movie is a result of CGI and visual effects. 1. Father and daughter. Han. So he and Jo Han-chul, we love to see them, their father and daughter relationship. So he said, I had even more scenes with him than I had with Tae-song. As I was shooting, if there were things I was thinking about, I'd ask him for advice and rely on trust him a lot. He very jokingly or sometimes very seriously gave me a lot of advice, which was invaluable to me. The father and daughter relationship seemed to continue even off the camera, and it has garnered them lots of fans. If you are a fan of love, horror, and romance, then we think you'd enjoy this K-drama series. The beauty of this is the fact that a lot of relatable historical elements are infused into the story.